What's good, everybody? This episode of the podcast is sponsored by DistroKid. They are the go-to for digital music distribution and the easiest way for musicians to get their music onto Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, TikTok, YouTube, and more. They offer unlimited uploads, and artists keep 100% of their earnings, getting your music onto platforms and into stores 10 to 20 times faster than any other distributor. They help with cover song clearance, automatic splits, and they offer all kinds of tools and templates to help you get the most visibility for your releases. I dig this company and appreciate their business model that offers more features and tools than any other distributor while doing it at the most affordable price for solo artists, bands, DJs, studio artists, and any other creators that are making music or producing music in their home, and they offer label services as well. They've got 3 different tiers that they offer to creators that start as low as $22.99 a year. That's just $1.92 a month. And even their top tier is only $7.50 per month. And the best part about DistroKid sponsoring the podcast is they are offering Dan Cable Presents listeners 30% off their first year of service with DistroKid, making their affordable prices even cheaper for you. I will put that discount link in the episode notes. It will also be in my Instagram bio. Big shout out to DistroKid for sponsoring this podcast for more than 3 years now. Much appreciated. Now let's get into the episode.
Look down at the
What is happening, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Dan Cable Presents podcast. Thank you for tuning in to the program once again. If this is your first time listening, thanks for checking out the show. You can find fresh episodes coming at you currently every other Tuesday as I'm on tour for most of the fall and spreading out the releases a little bit here. But if you're new to the cast, please like, follow, subscribe wherever you're listening from. If you're listening on Apple Music or Apple Podcasts or whatever it is, give it 5 stars there. Give it a review. It only takes a few minutes and is super helpful in boosting the signal of this thing, helping strangers find the podcast, and appreciate the hell out of all the folks that have already taken the time to do so. Hope everybody is doing well out there. I'm recording this intro from a rental vehicle in Nashville, Tennessee, where I've spent the first couple days of this current tour run that I am on with Noah Gunderson. Stoked to be out here with him and his sister Abby on the 10-year anniversary tour of Ledges, a record that means a lot to me, so it is very special to be out here and getting to see them play this set of this incredible music every night. Last night we were at the Blue Room in Nashville, the Third Man Records spot there, which Third Man Records, a place I've been wanting to go for a really long time, so it was really cool to get to go and be there under these circumstances. And I'm just sneaking in a little intro here before we head out to Atlanta this morning. Just picked up the rental, and we're going to be on our way and out on the road until about the end of October, doing the East Coast and a couple Midwest states, and then home for a week back in Portland, and then we go out and we do the West Coast. So yeah, I'm out here doing the thing, and sorry this is coming at you a couple days late, but had the opportunity to link with my buddy Andy Sydow, former guest of the podcast. He's done the cast a couple times over the years, and it was really nice to link with him here in Nashville, where he is living now, and kind of worked out last minute that he was able to come by my Airbnb and record with me. And yeah, I'm stoked with that. We got to chat in. We got to catch up a little bit, talk about all this new music that he is putting out. He's got a new record coming out on October 25th. 9 new songs, 7 of them are already out. So links for Andy Sydow will be in the episode notes. We just recorded this thing on Andy's iPhone, as I am doing with this intro in my Airbnb, so definitely looks a little different. If you're viewing on YouTube, you can subscribe there, and looks a little different than the normal setup. Definitely not using my fancy camera for it, but appreciate Andy's willingness to come through with his tripod and whatnot and help give us some video companion for this particular episode, and hope you enjoy the chat. What else can I tell you before we get out of here? If you've been paying attention to my Tuna Boy stuff, the Tuna Boy official pilot will be out on October 18th on YouTube, and same YouTube channel as this, so you can hit subscribe there. It's soon going to shift from Dan Cable Presents to Primetime Cable, as I have mentioned in the past few weeks. Hope you enjoyed the Hannah Glaver episode. That was the most recent chat before this one here with Andy, episode 428. Go back, check that out. Hannah's new record is out now, and stoked to hit the road here with Noah and Abby. And I'll keep you posted on all the tour travels. Probably coming at you next time with a tour diary episode, and to fill you in on what's been happening out here. Had a good run of shows with Say She, another incredible band that I met last year at Pickathon and have kept up with, and just grateful to have gotten to do another run of shows with them on the East Coast. And before that, I was out with Veronica Swift for a couple weeks the first half of September, which was another fun run, and got to meet some new people and made some new friends. So very pumped, very stoked to be out on the road. Grateful to be touching base with y'all with another episode while I'm trying to keep up with things out here, and appreciate the patience and all the support for the cast over the years. And I hope you enjoy this chat with Andy Sydow, episode 429, recorded in the Airbnb that I was staying in for a couple days here in Nashville. And to kick off the episode, we're going to play one of my favorite tracks from the new collection of tunes. This one is called Night Skin. Now let's do the damn thing.
Grab your jacket, fix your hair, say your goodbyes, let's get out of here. Take my safety, take me home, take me somewhere so I'm not alone. To old love stories already told, may we continue to be so bold. I feel like thunder, you feel free. Feel your night skin next to me. Lay my clothes down by your bed, reveal my secrets, rest my head. Don't need solemn, I don't want sweet. I need you with me, I need your human heat. Two old love stories already told, may we continue to be so bold. I feel like thunder, you feel free. I feel your night skin next to me.
All right, man, you ready to do this thing?
I'm ready to do this thing.
Back on the pod?
Back on the pod. Is this number 3?
At least.
And my favorite...
Maybe actually 4th if we include our I Dig Records chat.
That was my favorite chat of
that
ours.
Was very fun.
I did more research for that podcast episode than I've ever done for a podcast episode.
That's why I stopped doing those episodes regularly. It was just causing too much research.
Hours.
It's a lot to dig into when you're trying to break down a record and, like, I don't know,
Yep.
find the special things. in
We
it.
did Good Old Boys by Randy Newman, which had
Yeah.
a lot socially
Yeah.
to uncover.
Yes, absolutely. This is the second time that we've actually been in the same room to do this. It's been about maybe 7, 8 years or so since you came through Portland that first time when we met, when Andrew Harrison linked us up.
Yep.
Did the chat right there at the venue.
Yeah, that's right, in the backstage area. That was a lot of fun, and you had a mighty beard at that time.
Yeah. I had a very big, dumb beard at that time. And now we find ourselves both here in Nashville, which is wild.
Yep.
How long you been living here now?
My wife and I moved from Denver to Hendersonville, which is just a suburb of Nashville, last July. So about, 15 months now. But I still feel brand new because I'm in and out of town all the time. I'm going home to Colorado constantly to play all my old gigs. And so I went to Americana Fest last week and felt like I learned the town better in those 4 days than I had in the last 15 months.
So still settling in.
I'm a tourist in my own hometown.
Finding your feet here.
Yeah.
What sparked the move? I mean, obviously this is historically like a great music town, but did you just feel like there was better opportunities here for you, or just kind of like needed to spread your wings a little bit, being kind of born and raised in Colorado? And
yeah, certainly a little bit of wanderlust, sure. But I mean, we don't have any kids yet. And it was like, if we don't go try out something else now, we never will.
Yeah.
And there's a good chance that when we do start having kids, we'll be back in Colorado because we have 2 sets of, I presume, free babysitters and our parents. I didn't ask them that, but I'm just assuming. So, it was the right time. And the 2 biggest things are, number one, the music community here. I wanted to just kind of get in with the community and meet people, and really everyone's doing cool stuff.
Yeah.
Musically everywhere. It's not all country. It's all over the map.
Yeah.
And so that was huge. To start to make some of those connections just with more folks doing cool things. But then the other thing is proximity for touring, and Portland is this way big time.
Yeah.
But Denver, if you're going on a tour, really the first 2 days are driving. I mean, because it's like 8 hours in any direction to get anywhere.
Absolutely.
And then you've got another day, and then you can start. And, here out of Nashville, there's been nights where I've played in Atlanta, driven home after the gig, Birmingham, driven home after the gig. And there's really something to be said for that.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, you can even be in Chicago in like 8 hours. And
Yep.
yeah,
It's all right here.
yeah, makes it a little more feasible, I would imagine, to just like regularly be playing outside of town and spreading your name out there.
Yeah.
So it's been like, I don't know, like 12 years maybe since you put out that first record under your name?
Something like that.
What do you feel like has changed the most within you as a songwriter since then to where you feel like you're at now?
Well, life experience and repetition,
Yeah.
And I am sure I will look back on the record I'm putting out in a couple weeks, in 12 years from now and be like, oh man, I now look where I'm at now, or hopefully, right? Cause I always want to be getting better. But, I think with that first record, how do I say this? When you're growing up, you have a few people that you idolize and you imitate them
Absolutely
as much as you can. And when I have like students or younger folks talking to me about it, I say absolutely you should do that. You should copy their every move.
Yeah.
Because if you do that with enough different influences mixed with your own life experience, you will get your own sound. But you you can't start with your own sound. You can't start with it.
You got to figure out how to carve it out.
Yeah. So I think if anything, maybe my sound, and I still don't know that I've found it or I'll ever find it completely. It's always searching, but it's certainly more evolved now than it was a decade ago or whatever that was.
Yeah, I think that you can feel that in these new tunes that you've been putting out. You know, it seems like there is like this natural progression.
Yeah.
From where you started, because there's always been some good tunes in you, like even when you first started or when I first got like turned on to your music, you know.
Yeah.
There's always things that I like really loved, but listening to the new stuff, I don't know, it just feels like there's like every song feels great.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I'm very proud of the record, and I got to make it with my biggest musical influence. So his hand in that didn't hurt anything. It helped a ton.
Anders
Osborne.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like you've been talking about Anders since I met you.
He was one of those first people that I wanted to copy his every move. And actually I would say we're pretty different. You know, we're pretty different now years later, but he was one of the people where I learned his licks and his stage movements and how he sang, and that's also still very much a part of me. I think you can, in what I do.
Yeah. What was it like getting the opportunity to work side by side with him on these tunes?
It was pretty wild. He had kind of gotten to know me because I was the young guy that would show up and stand in the front row anytime he came through Colorado.
Yeah.
So I maybe made like a little bit of an impression through that. I took a guitar lesson from him about 10 years ago, backstage for one of his shows. And then in COVID, I covered one of his songs, and kind of through that and through his manager, we ended up getting to collaborate on this record. But I mean, it was so cool. And he picked me up at the airport. We hung out, we drove 2.5 hours to the studio, hung out, cooked meals, ate with the band and stuff, and made music all day.
Yeah.
And then he dropped me back off at the airport, and I went into the airport, and his music was playing in the airport.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you feel like he was able to maybe bring out of your tunes that maybe you couldn't see on your own?
He took the pressure off. I think every time I write a song, there's this pressure of like, this has to be the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
Or whatever. But one of the things he told me was like, nobody needs your music. Nobody needs my music. And actually, it sounds depressing, but it's so true, because you can listen to someone else's music and, he took the pressure off that way. But there's this thing that I think he hit very well. A lot of people will record, and whatever they get is the take. They're like, this is great. This is what happened today.
Okay.
Other people record and they're perfectionists about it, meaning it's never what they're hearing in their head. And that's very destructive to collaboration and to actually releasing music.
Yeah.
But a healthy dose of both of these things is good. And he was very good about being organic and saying, hey, this is what we got in the studio today.
Yeah.
And so this is the magic we got. But he also didn't let crap slide through. So he has so much experience. He was able to, impart parts of both sides of that.
Yeah. Like he knows what is good enough to make a strong take.
Yeah.
And to discern between the two and let you know when it's not good enough.
Yeah, but not let you do 12 takes when it's destructive after the third one.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Do you think him just kind of like letting you know in some way that people don't need your music, that like disarms a little bit of the ego part of it that like goes with it? Or like, what did that do for your psyche that like took the pressure off?
Well, I think that's a big part of it. It's just, we're here on Earth for a limited amount of time.
Yeah.
And you can either put out a record or not put out a record. Yeah. And in the scope of things, it's pretty meaningless. And it kind of had me almost a little relieved because I have goals and dreams, but also I'm like, yeah, we're just going to go make some music this week. This doesn't have to be a genre-defining cultural phenomenon.
Yeah.
Like, let's just go make some music. And it was loose that way.
And enjoy it while you get to make music with one of your heroes, this
in
person
the moment
that you've like looked up to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it hard for you to settle in at all? Or did it feel like pretty natural, or did it take you a day or two to feel like you could truly like kind of be yourself and figure out how to operate?
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. Like when I'm getting a call, I land at the airport at Louis Armstrong and I'm getting a phone call and I pick it up and Anders is calling to find out where I'm at. And he's like, I'm parked in front of pillar 6 or whatever. And, he's grabbing my bags for me. And that was kind of weird. And I remember that first night we went to the grocery store to get stuff. And I felt like, he was like having to pull information out of me. Like, do you like snacks? Do you drink beer? And I'm just kind of sitting here like,
you're like,
anything. Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. But it settled in for sure.
That's great. That's I think those moments are special. Like when things unfold in that way.
Yeah.
As far as, getting to work with somebody like that, or I think I can get wrapped up in the mystical elements of all of this, like quite a bit.
Yeah.
Maybe not in like some like woo woo hippy dippy way, but I think it's I was thinking about it last night as I was sitting at the merch table and kind of this current role of being on tour with Noah, and just like, man, this all of this shit continues to happen just for like showing up for the thing that you love and like believe in.
Yeah.
And like so much magic happens because of that. And it like takes all of the other people doing the same thing. Like it took Anders like doing his own music for forever for you to find him, and then you showing up to do the thing and finding this way to collaborate with this dude.
Well, and it was huge for me because like if I hadn't seen him at Telluride Blues and Brews as a teenager, like would I still be doing this, or would I still be doing it in the same way? And I don't know what it looks like, but yeah, him doing his thing and all the people that it takes to make that work. And I think about that too with, I just went out and did a run with my band in North Carolina a couple weeks ago, and how much everybody cared about each song sounding good. And, just things like that where it's like it's multiple people have to come together to collaborate to make something really cool happen, and it's sweet.
Yeah. Is that a big part of wanting to be here for a bit in Nashville? And like it feels like this place has such like a collaborative nature to it, is from the artists that I've had on the podcast, like over the years from Nashville. It seems like everybody's writing together, or like there's these groups that get together that are all trying to make each other's songs better.
Yeah, I think so. And like I said, I still feel so new. Like I was just telling my wife the other, a couple weeks ago, like I need to be doing more of that because I still feel like I just got here in so many ways. But the people I have met and have associated with, absolutely it's that way. And, I had a song a few months ago that I needed something on, and, hit up a buddy and said, yeah, come over, let's throw some drums on it. And it is very like, everybody's got their thing or their couple things that they're really good at, and you can rely on them for that and send stuff back and forth, collaborate. It's great.
How do you feel like your actual storytelling through the lyrics has maybe evolved, and like what you're able to communicate now versus when you started? Or do you feel like it's much different? Is the process of writing lyrics any different for you?
Well, I think I think repetition is a big part of it, and you learn more and more over time how to say how you're feeling in a new way. And I think I always, without overcomplicating it, sometimes the girl opened the door and walked outside is a fine line.
Yeah.
Right? We don't need imagery everywhere. But I do think about how I say things more, and I want to say things in a way that are a little bit different, but also you get it. You know, I don't want to be too cryptic most of the time or too literal. Like I think I constantly try to find like a balance, and maybe I've gotten a little better at that over the years. But yeah, I think that's kind of just repetition of getting better on how you want to say what you want to say.
Yeah. Are you often like fighting against being too on the nose, or does it seem to be pretty natural in finding that balance of like maintaining mystery while being able to like present a story that's you're able to follow?
Yeah, I think the tough thing is knowing when to do which one. But it becomes clear, I think, like when you sing something and you sing a line that is very literal and on the nose, and it's just the right thing.
Yeah.
You know, when you need to mask it a little bit and describe how the girl opened the door by touching the knob with her sweaty hand or whatever. I think you know that too. When you sing it and you perform it in front of people, it becomes apparent which works which way.
Yeah. As far as like maybe feeling, you know, the pressure that you talked about like before making this collection of tunes with Anders, do you feel like that's also just maybe recognizing that there's like a finite amount of time to be here and making music and feeling like, you know, something needs to pop off in some ways to make it sustainable, and that like every song is that opportunity to, you know, expose yourself to a wider audience?
Yeah, I mean, the thing I would say if I was trying to be cool is that you just do it, man, and if something pops off, and there's some truth to that. But I absolutely feel that pressure, you know, especially now. You know, I'm 33, which is still young.
Yeah.
But it's not, it's not 23, and the logistics of taking a band on the road with other people in their 30s is different than it was 10 years ago. And
Definitely
thinking about the fact that a few years from now, I'm going to have a kid. I can't play 250 gigs a year that a lot of them don't pay that great with a kid.
Yeah.
So I do feel that. I do at times feel that pressure of, I need to get here in order to be able to keep doing this. At the other hand, I've just always done it, and I've kind of figured it out.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm trying to have faith in that, like, it'll work out, but I can't say for sure that my income's going to double in 18 months. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. It's worked up until now, though, I think is like important to recognize.
Yeah, it is, but you know, it's scary too, because I've seen, and I know you have too, so many friends drop off, talented friends.
Yeah.
Who are really incredible.
Yeah, it's tough, you know. It's and it can be, yeah, being in this world can kind of break your spirit through experiences for sure, you know. Especially, it is wild like how many people who I've kind of like recognized having this undeniable talent, whether that's like a solo artist or a band, and you're just like, oh, if this is not popping off, then what is happening? You know,
right?
How is anything functioning?
It's so hard to figure it out, and it's so hard to have faith in yourself and what you're doing, that it's the right thing, because you're constantly comparing yourself to someone's Instagram reel. And whether you try to or not, whether it's healthy or not, it's hard to not do from time to time.
For sure.
You know,
What do you feel like has attributed to the sustainability, or like what has kept you going and like in good faith with doing this?
I definitely partly ignorance. You know,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if 12 years ago I could have looked ahead till now, I think I'm much better of a musician and writer than I would have imagined myself then. However, career wise,
Yeah.
right, as a 20-year-old, I was like, oh, that time I'm 33, I'm gonna be playing stadiums, you know, and that's okay. I don't need to be playing
Yeah.
stadiums. You know, but so ignorance is definitely part of it. And I view most things as stepping stones. You know, I do, when I'm not on the road doing stuff like playing original music, my day job is as a musician.
Yeah.
I quantify those as gigs and shows. When I'm out doing my thing, putting on my show, that's Andy Sydow, the artist. And when I'm home playing in the hotel lobby or the wedding
Yeah.
or whatever, that's Andy Sydow, the musician.
Yeah.
And I feel very lucky that my day job, Andy Sydow, the musician, helps Andy Sydow, the artist. I do have nights where I feel like a zoo animal on my gigs.
Yeah.
A lot of nights.
Like
And
play the song.
yeah.
Play the song I asked you to play.
Yeah, play the song. Well, can you play this one? I got people dangling a tip jar at me, asking me to play 8 songs while
Yeah.
I'm singing a different song. Yelling right next to me to their friend, but you can't blame them for that. But also, it's, you know, you do feel like that monkey in a cage a little bit. But if I can tune out from that and say, well, I'm getting better at singing and playing piano today, and that
Yeah.
makes Andy Sydow artist stronger and more able to put up with all the BS that happens. You know, you don't know what the show is going to have. Like, some nights it's great, some nights it's not. You got to roll with it.
Yeah, man, you're playing some tough rooms. I'm sure.
Yeah.
In the areas where you're Andy Sydow, the musician, you know.
Yeah.
And obviously that's always, whether those are the tunes you want to be playing, that always has to be improving your playing if you're constantly doing it.
Well, I've done so many the last few years. I mean, at least 250 gigs a year the last few years, and mostly piano gigs. I do a lot of guitar stuff too, but I think just because there's not as many piano, like everyone plays guitar and sings, so there was kind of like this little niche for me to slip into, and you know, you get a couple of those gigs and you get more, and that's the thing. The fluidity of being able to think about something and then play it.
Yeah.
It comes just from doing it for 3 or 4 hours every day. It's not even like not always sitting down and practicing to get better, but just getting through the gig. It's all that repetition.
Yeah.
The way we learn to speak is just from you're forced to do it.
Right. Yeah. Do you feel like you're always learning something about songwriting too when you're breaking down other people's tunes and kind of being forced to learn these covers?
Yeah, absolutely. And I, to be honest, I love playing other people's music, not everyone else's music.
Yeah.
Like, I've got a list of songs that I would be okay if I never had to play again. But
What's number 1 on that list?
I think Piano Man, probably.
Yeah. Everybody wants the piano player to play Piano Man.
You know what's
It's
wild?
fucking hacky, dude.
I've played it hundreds of times. Yeah, right. Do you know Piano Man? And then I say, do you have $50? No. It's crazy. The same songs really do get requested over and over and over and over and
Yeah.
over and over and over again. But there's beautiful writing, you know, when I can play whatever I want and I'm playing a Mark Cohn song or a Tyler Childers song or a Jackie Green or a Warren Zevon or whatever.
Yeah.
Randy Newman, you see compositionally what they're doing. And in the case of somebody like Randy Newman, I've been able to really analyze what he does through playing several of his songs, because I see patterns in his playing, in his chord progressions, in his writing. And that, whether I want it to or not, I do in his case, like makes its way into my artistry.
Yeah, it can't not make its way into your brain when you're constantly doing the thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if you I would assume it's very similar when you're playing those types of gigs, but I've been doing some DJing the last 3 or 4 years since things have opened up since the pandemic, and it's a lot of fun. I love it, and most of the time I'm getting to play the music I want to play, you know?
Yeah.
There's like the weddings that I occasionally do where there's certain songs that have to be played per request of the bride and groom, but I have found that when you give the power to somebody of granting a request, that it's never that it is never one from that person. It's always after you play that one, they come back 5 minutes later and like, hey, how about this one? It's like, hey, I gave you the song. I gave you the one. You came up, you said, hey man, you're doing a great job. I really love all the stuff you're playing. Let's leave it there then.
Yeah.
You know?
Or just say thank you for the one request.
Yeah. It's like you got the one in. It's always like, it's never one song from these people. It's so funny.
I have a place where I've had a residency for a long time, and I still have it several nights a week when I go back home. And there's a very strict no sitting in with the band rule, and that's I'm always able to blame management, even though I don't want you sitting in with the band either. I can always say, hey, it's like a policy. I'm not allowed to, and it's because I've had it happen. Like you let one person sit in. Now everybody is a singer. And you might be a great singer, but if you're just here to eat dinner tonight, just eat dinner and listen to someone else sing. I'm doing my job, you do yours. And, it'll be great.
Dude, it was unreal. I was in Philadelphia at the World Cafe Live venue, beautiful venue, a few weeks ago. And this woman comes up to the merch table to the opener that night and is talking to her, and this woman just starts singing a cappella to her. This starts belting out this tune. So she does that one, and her friends are kind of like encouraging her. She's admittedly had like 5 or 6 gins that night, so she's deep in it. So she not only sings one song, but returns to the merch table 2 more times within a period of about 10 minutes and sings 2 more songs. And she is like in it. She is going for it. It was unreal. Like it was psychotic. And it was one of my favorite memories of that entire tour. Yeah. Just the people get into their shit and they're ready to perform and show you that they can sing.
Well, and there's a magic to it too on the other end of like when you think about music before the music business. Yeah. When music was used for healing in therapy and at funerals and and music was like this sacred thing. Yeah. There's a cool thing about it, the all inclusivity. It's sometimes if it gets in the way of the gig, So I always feel bad because I'm like, well, no, music's a beautiful thing, and whether you can sing or not, you should sing. Yeah. But just not on my restaurant gig.
Place and time. Yeah. Pick your spots. Yeah. Luckily, the woman who was opening that tour, Alicia, was very kind to this woman and just, I think, was so also blown away that she continued to come back to her, that she just like let it happen. And just kind of smiled at her the entire time.
Yeah, she needs it tonight.
It was amazing, dude. Yeah. Are you still teaching?
A very little bit. I mean, there was a point when I had like 50 students a week.
I remember when I first met you, and like the first time I came to Denver, you were teaching a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, teaching a ton. I just have a couple students now, which is great. It got to a point where I wasn't able to give the energy that they all deserved because when you have that many students, or when I had that many students, there was a few that really wanted to be there, and there was a whole lot that were dropped off for 30 minutes or whatever. And I'm happy to do it either way. I've always loved to teach, but when it was that many hours of one-on-one attention, right? Because you can't like go to the break room for 10 minutes and look at your phone. It's intense one-on-one with somebody, and then they leave and the next person walks in. So it's been nice to be able to teach a little bit less because I feel like I'm really giving the students I do have that energy because I can give it to them. But it's been, I think, a lot more gigging and a lot more travel and stuff than it was at that time. Kind of oddly, COVID is what helped make that transition.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're maybe getting more out of it yourself then, since you do have like a smaller pool of people that you're teaching?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I've always enjoyed doing it. I think I'll probably always teach in some capacity. But it just, the amount of energy it requires to do a good job.
Yeah.
I'd say there was a threshold for me, and I crossed it for a while. I was like, I crossed it and then just kind of kept going.
Yeah, man. I think that's just like another thing that you have to constantly kind of battle when you're pursuing art as a career in whatever form, is like the burnout effect. Because it's like you want to have all of these things to provide sustainability, but sometimes having too many things is the thing that's like working against you, and it's hard to see that all the time in the moment, and it's hard to say no to things when they seem exciting or feel like they are moving things forward.
It's hard to say no to things like that, and it's hard to say no to things that are, I hate to say the word easy, but it's hard to say no to things that are easy, because how hard it is in this industry. It's really easy to take a whole bunch of like cover gigs, or it's really easy to pad your teaching schedule. You're already there. Have 6 more students. And there is a threshold though where you cross it and you say, well, I don't have any energy left to do why I'm really doing music.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the easy things are like maybe the harder things, because you don't realize that they are stripping you of energy.
Yeah.
Like they seem easy, and then you realize like, oh yeah, that did take a toll in some way.
Yeah. Yeah, but those things are important too, because that's what, you learn. Some of these things you give to other people.
Yeah.
And pays your rent. There's a constant balance, I think, and constant readjusting.
Yeah. I noticed listening to this new batch of tunes, like specifically thinking about Night Skin is a song that like hits pretty heavy for me, or like maybe a song that I really feel like it's easy to get lost in. Like I feel like you really built worlds with this with these newer tunes. Does that resonate for you at all? Or like it feels like that you left a lot of space to maybe fall into things, and they can be like transcendent because of that. Was that just like the new approach to making these tunes with Anders, or like where did that come from?
I think he was a huge part of that. And Mike Dillon on the percussion and Cassandra Faulkner on the bass. I think they really, that was a big thing I learned from the experience, was kind of how to leave space.
Yeah.
Leave space, but fill it up at the same time.
Yeah, it feels powerful in that way.
Well, the Night Skin in particular, I remember we had recorded it, and I thought, that was it. That was the take. And Anders said, I want to try something different. And so he throws on like this tremolo and tape delay, all this crazy stuff. And he's just making wild sounds in the background the whole time. And it's like, it's not a part, it's a vibe.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
a blanket.
Yeah,
It's a, like you say, it's a world.
yeah, it really creates that.
When the song starts, you enter this world, and we finished that take, and in the studio, because we tracked live. I even sang vocals live. So he's sitting like a few feet away, and then Mike and Cassandra, and we're all just in a circle. We finished that take, and I was like, well, that was weird sounding. Like that was whack. I bet the one before that's the take. And we went into the control room and listened. And I was just like, oh my God. Like I did enter a new world. And I didn't even hear it when we were playing it live. It was funny. I had to go hear it in the control room to hear what we just captured on that take.
Yeah, everything just feels so alive.
Yeah.
With these tunes.
Everybody who worked on it, and Justin Taka, the engineer too, really put what they had into the project, and it took everyone to create the world and to create the space and the vibe, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. Yeah,
were these all songs that you had written in the past couple years, or are some of these songs that have been lingering around for you that you hadn't quite figured out how to lay them down?
Most of them were more recent tunes. And I had sent him a batch of, I think, like 20 songs, and we narrowed it down. So most of them were recent songs, but If I Grew a Violet, You'd Ask for a Rose is one that I'd previously recorded. And it was one of the songs that has always worked live. I've written so many songs, and sometimes I finish one, I'm like, this is an awesome song, and I'll go play it and not get any sort of reaction. It's funny because gigs, I'm not talking about shows, I'm talking about the background gigs.
Yeah.
Is a great way to test new songs because I can get comfortable with it. And if at a crowded bar people turn around and they say, what was that song? You know you're onto something.
Yeah.
And Violet, If I Grew a Violet has been one of those songs for me I think I wrote it over 10 years ago. And it had been recorded and released. But when I brought it back to this batch of songs, it was given a new life. And it kind of felt like, okay, that was how that song was meant to go.
Yeah, were you surprised by the tunes that Anders picked out of the bunch that you sent? Or did it kind of like all make sense to you?
It made sense. I sent some... It's funny because I played guitar on the whole album. And, I overdubbed some keys, but I'm a better keyboard player. And I've done other projects where I'm primarily on keys.
Yeah.
And he picked the guitar songwriter-y tunes. So I wasn't surprised by that. And I'm glad those are the ones that we went for because that's kind of was in his wheelhouse. So no, I think at the end of the day, I wasn't surprised. But we went through them all with a fine-tooth comb, and he had writing suggestions, and we tried weird things production-wise too. On If I Grew a Violet, we finished playing it with just bass and guitar and vocals, and he said, "That's great. Now, can you go in and play like a Vivaldi-esque mellotron part on top of it?" I was like, "What? Why?" It was killer.
Yeah,
it was a great idea.
That's the importance of those other people in the room when you're making a record, yeah? Like, you would have never done that on your own?
No. Classical mellotron on top of my folksy song? No.
Yeah. Yeah, do you feel like a lot of what you experienced making these tunes with him has already, like, carried over into your songwriting?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. We did 2 sessions over Zoom before we got together where he kind of picked out songs and we talked about lyrics, and some of the things he mentioned, some of the, really were eye-opening and have made their way into my writing for sure.
Yeah. Do you feel like has it gotten easier or more difficult as you've gotten older to be honest and authentic in the songwriting? As life has gotten, more complex or...
Yeah, I think so. I think so, but it's also a constant monitoring of, well, is that genuine, or is that what I think people think is genuine? You know, it's really hard to, you get caught up in that world, I think, especially in our internet age, because you're just watching other stuff all day.
Yeah.
Is this genuine, or is this what I think other people think is genuine? And I think I try to do the former as much as possible.
Yeah. What do you feel like makes that possible, or like what keeps you out of the zone of like presenting things that people think are genuine versus what is truly?
Maybe just thinking about it. Yeah, I maybe don't even have a great answer for that offhand, but I think it's a big part of it is it your story? And it doesn't have to be. You know, you can write fiction, you can write other people's stories, but
Yeah.
you know, I think you see a lot of the same things popping up, a lot of the same stories popping up. Like, I don't know, I'll just make up an example. Like, grew up on a farm with no money, country kid, look at me now.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we see that song a jillion times.
Probably not the story for you, the kid that like grew up in the suburbs of Colorado.
Yeah, and I'm not to say that it would be wrong to write that story if you're going to take on that character.
Yeah.
But if you're going to take on that character, really take on that character. You know, it doesn't have to be romanticized necessarily.
Yeah.
But it's okay not to be that character too. I think it's okay that I grew up in the suburbs of Colorado.
Yeah, that's your experience.
Yeah.
And that experience comes with its, its own stories and own like lens for life.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you feel like your ideals around success have changed, or what you maybe envision this would be when you were in your 20s and now being 33?
I think now the thing that I always say out loud is I want to make a full-time living with my original music. And that could include some covers. I'm not saying that. I just mean, but in a way that I would do it. My artist would do it.
You get to be more artist
Yeah.
Andy versus musician Andy.
Yeah, for that to pay all the bills, you know, and the ability to be home when I'm home, to afford myself the ability to be home when I'm home. I think you go out and you do a run, or go out for a conference or whatever it is, go do a radio thing, come back, and then the next 4 nights I've got bar gigs in town, and Allie gets home from work, and I pass her in the driveway on the way to my gig, and then I get home and she's in bed, and then in the morning she gets up to go to work, and then you know what I mean, like that whole thing. I really like to be home when I'm home, and be home.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that can be tough, especially when you have like a partner, and I'm assuming Allie has been extremely supportive of your your goals with music and building a career out of your art.
Yeah, and I feel too that if you're if gone for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a weekend, you got to be able to kind of make up for that somehow, both for yourself and for everyone else in your family.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know.
Well, I know you got to go. We got to wrap this thing up pretty soon here.
Yeah, I got like 5 minutes. I didn't know.
It's yeah, man. It's a pleasure to get to be in the same room with you, and it's one of the cool things about this world is the people you meet along the way and the people you keep up with. And I feel like, you're someone that for almost a decade now I've, known through music and pursuing this life. So I'm stoked we got to hang for a bit while I'm in Nashville. And
big time.
I think you're making the best music that you've made thus far, and 20-year-old you would be very stoked about who 33-year-old Andy Sydow is.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it. And man, thanks for having me back on. I'm glad we've stayed connected this long. It's been great to follow you, and I also love with all my peers seeing the people who have stuck with something for a long time.
Yeah, man, it's inspiring. I talk about that pretty often. You know, the people that are still in it and still pursuing the thing is, you know, even if you're not talking to those people on a daily basis, it's incredibly inspiring.
Yeah, you've been making programs for a long time.
A long time I've been at it, making programs, and yeah, exploring the the complicated world of music.
It's awesome. It's awesome. It's just a pleasure to be your buddy.
Likewise, dude. When does the new record, All of the Tunes, officially come out?
Yeah. I'm waterfalling.
Yes.
So 9 singles on the 9-track album. It comes out on October 25th. Is when you'll be able to get all of them on the streams.
October 25th. I'm going to put all the links in the episode notes so people can keep up with you. This will probably drop, you know, this week or next. So there's 7 of the tunes are out now.
7 are out now.
I want to play the episode out with one of my favorite tracks out of those. It's Every Little Thing About Love. Just a beautiful song.
Thank you.
Yeah. So all the links for Andy will be in the episode notes. Andy, also, my condolences. The Cincinnati Reds were a disappointment again this year, as were my Chicago Cubs, division mates.
That's right.
So we're losers together this year, but you know, maybe next year for the Reds.
Maybe next year.
Links for Andy will be in the episode notes, and we end every episode of the podcast with the guest saying the tagline for the show. Andy, maybe you can look into this here camera and give him it's a program.
It's a program.
He nailed it, everybody. It's Andy Sydow. Check out. There's so much music to check out if you're new to Andy's music. Not only these new tunes, but some records to go back and check out. And that's the Jelly Jams. And we will catch you on the flip side. Nashville, Portland, wherever you are listening from. Cool, man. We did it.
Do you still have those shirts? The black ones?
Somewhere. Did you never get yours?
Will you show me every little thing about love? And take me somewhere I don't know a thing about love. I've been all the things that go betweens with empty means before. I've been flying high to the girl that says she needs a little more. You don't seem that way, my dear, my dear. You don't seem that way, my dear. Let's take a risk, take a holiday from our fears, my dear. Show me every little thing about love, and take me somewhere I don't know a thing about love. If I was insincere